egg. And speaking of this egg a bit more, I'm wondering now if they're going to rotate this Phoenix to the position 5, because if they are, then I like this Wyvern pick more. But of course, Winstrike, they couldn't have known that at the time, right? So that's my concern for Team Spirit, is that you guys just played this awesome game versus a Wyvern because of the farm you were able to give the Phoenix. If it's a Phoenix 5, we're not going to have the same. We're not going to have like a 20-minute vessel like we saw last game, and I think that could put you in a bit of a rough spot.
Tiny pickup for Team Spirit.
Toronto Tokyo classic.
It's a classic Toronto Tokyo hero. Tiny got a bad rep at the major, I think. He did all right in core positions. It was just the support Tiny. Are you happy to see it on Toronto Tokyo here?
I'm not too happy, I'll be honest. I don't love the Tiny without a combo to burst. I feel like Tiny... I mean, if you look at the major win rate, he was really good with Ancient Apparition. And even PSGL GD, and actually we saw this in the ESL as well, they used it with Skyreth Mage, which is, like, nice. With Willow, you can sort of do that. You know, she does bring some burst with Bedlam to, like, completely gank. I think it suits his style. I like it as a comfort pick, but I'm not sold on Core Tiny as much anymore without, like, a big combo to use it with. I think in this lineup, he's solid because he's against Winter Wyvern or DK, but Lion can always annoy your initiation with the Hex, though.
Yeah, that's true. I will say, because we know these backliners are going to be rather squishy. You know, they will be looking to more build initiation items or maybe a locket. You can still burst them pretty consistently throughout the game. So that's at least going to be something pretty nice for Toronto Tokyo. But then again, you're putting yourself a little bit at risk, because out comes the Spectre pick for Duraccio. That is a Spectre last pick here in the second.
That's a Winstrike classic.
Burst.
They used to really love this hero, even when it was not meta. They used to pick it up sometimes just because they're so consistent with it. I think it's pretty solid to deal with the amount of team Spirit has, because one thing that Spectre does, very similar to most Illusion heroes, well, particularly her in PL, which is that you can break lineups in the sense that they lose the... You don't have a front line in a middle ground, like the supports in the back. You can't do that. So against heroes like Phoenix and Dark Willow, the hero is very solid because you break that completely. Tiny has a hard time reinitiating when Blink Dagger's constantly cancelled. It's honestly very solid. I like this by Winstrike. I think they've made up for the Winter Wyvern, and you have some really good counter initiation now.
I like it a lot as well. And you can see that Team Spirit begin to pivot with their bans to deal with it, that Tide ban, very much knocking out the area spread team fight that Winstrike seem to be building here. What else would you expect to see Team Spirit ban in this final phase?
I'd like to see a Centaur ban, because right now we don't hit Supernova very well at all, like ever, of these 4 heroes. Wyvern, Lion, you get a couple of extra right clicks in. Spectre would rather be clicking heroes, and DK is a little bit too slow with his attack speed. So I'd like to see like a Centaur get banned, because I think right now, Winstrike, you need some way to get out of these fights if they're going very, very badly for you. And a Centaur is a great way to make Mag, RP, and Skewer a bit harder to execute.
Are we expecting this DK to be mid then?
I think it can be flexed. It's wherever it's more convenient right now, right? And I agree with the Centaur pick. Like, I was thinking, maybe if you have the Lina available, you would consider the Lina, because Egg Hitter, right, stays behind. Can't get bursted by Tiny, though, but has a good lane against them. So it could be a consideration. But I'm not seeing any mid pick that I'm like, oh, wow, I really love this.
Out of that. Okay. Good ban from Spirit. You never know if the bat's coming through. That would have been something to destroy the Tiny.
They go for that Doom. That looks like a mid Doom to me, would you say?
I think so too, because I know that Rabel... I mean, both Rabel and Shurkat play him. In Eastern Europe, they love the mid-Doom so much. It's like they're... I think it's the region that played it the most, even when Doom fell out of favor. Iceberg, particularly, kept the hero alive for like a solid patch. I like the matchup against Tiny. I think it's good.
It could be an off-lane Doom. I only say this because this is a Cheshire Cat hero. I think he's got, like... Of course, this guy's played, like, 2,300 games of Dota 2 competitively. Something like 70 games on Doom with a 60% win rate. So it's a comfort hero for him in that regards. But I also don't mind the mid-lane matchup either. So it just depends here, I think, on what Spirit are going to last pick. And they are looking for a hard carry for themselves. He needs to do well versus either a DK or a Doom.
Ursa's still available.
Wraith King's available. Oh, no, Wraith King's not available. They banned Wraith King.
Yeah, Wraith King.
PA. Okay.
PA.
Okay, so they'll go with the PA. Classic mag counter, or combo, sorry.
Yeah,
That's very classic.
It's okay, because now the Doom can... Yeah, see, it's going to be mid-Doom in the end. So it's going to be... So the issue with the PA... I mean, your lane is fine, but the issue is that if Doom, especially as a mid-Doom, happens to build up an Ags, I feel like that just cancels you as a hero, right? And And you're vulnerable to that. That's why I kind of like the Ursa a bit more earlier, because Ursa always has the option to get rid of that with like constant enraging. I don't think the pick is bad, but I do feel like you're more countered by Winter Wyvern. You're a bit more countered by Lion. Doom can completely cancel you. I'm not the biggest fan of this pick, at least not against Winstrike's heroes. I think it's good with the lineup Team Spirit has.
Sounds like we're saying that Winstrike has a much, much stronger draft in this game too. Would you predict the game for Winstrike, or do you think it's very much in the toss-up?
I think the drafts are fairly even. I just don't love this final pick, but I feel like the drafts are fairly even. I might give it to Winstrike, just for flavor, as well. I think the Winstrike can do it this time.
Yeah, I'm going Winstrike because that's always what history has shown here as well. They've always gone to the deciding game. I think they'll do it here again. I think Spirit, they have 2 windows here. They've got an early window where, it's like, oh, I got to catch the bus. I can catch this early bus that I can enable with the PA in power, or I can try and catch this late bus. The late bus is going to be really crowded, though, because we've got a lot of really good late game out from Winstrike.
Well, let's hope we see that then. As we move into the game, I'll hand over to you guys. Take us away. Or maybe we're not yet being handed in. Over.
No, not yet.
We've got more time to
go. The bus is
go.
late. We're taking the late bus. There you go.
We're taking the late bus. The late bus. All right, the bus is here. We made it. We made it eventually. There was someone in front of us. He was paying in coins. Come on, you gotta. It's all contactless now. But I mean, are you kind of seeing the points I'm making here with the bus timings?
Weirdest
I feel like we've got 2 good ones for Spirit.
That was the weirdest metaphor. I mean, I agree with you. It's just odd because, I mean, if you're taking the late bus, really you're taking the early bus because it's not crowded? That's the idea? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like you need more than one public transport for that metaphor. Like the metro because it's faster than the bus, but usually it's more crowded. I don't know. Maybe. The subway, I guess, for people in America. Anyway. I don't disagree with your point, though. I do agree that Team Spirit... Sorry. I do agree that Team Spirit has 2 timings they can play around. I feel like Winstrike has the 1, right? But you also have a really good space creation timing for Winstrike on the Doom and the DK.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going with... I Dan kind of put the words in my mouth. I felt offended. I was like, no, Winstrike doesn't have the superior draft, but I just feel like, based on the results until now, they could do it. I think the drafts are much more even than last time. I like their draft 10 times more than last time, that's for sure.
Oh, I agree with you there. I mean, we're gonna get farm. Like everyone's gonna get a lot of farm in this game. Is kind of how it's going to break down, and I think it's gonna come down. I mean, this is the most John Madden thing I've ever said. It's gonna come down to how they use the farm, Avo. What are they gonna look to buy? How are we going to be looking to lane or play this Phoenix? Oh, is there a surprise somewhere?
What's the surprise?
Oh, I thought you said, oh, wow. I'm sorry. Apologies.
No, oh, wow, because your comment was so insightful. I've never heard that. Like,
oh,
I mean, does Dota depend on how
insight.
well they play? Wow, that is quite the thought.
Who would have thought?
Exactly.
I mean, I don't think anyone else in the history of Dota has ever really broken it down that simply. But we're just going to get a lot of farm. That's just kind of going to be the name of the game here for both sides. And again, that's where I feel like I'd rather much have this position 4 Phoenix than the position 5. And I think because of that, the Wyvern's going to be a lot better than it has any right to be in this draft, and that's why I think Winstrike are going to win. Yeah. I think it's going to come down to that.
I do like the Wyvern Spectre combo. I think that's very solid. You have so many ways to break the enemy line so they can't play the game they want to play, right? I feel that's a huge point in favor of them. Because you use the Haunt, use the Winter's Curse, all of a sudden, however Team Spirit is trying to organize themselves in the team fights is probably not going to work out. You add to that like a Hex and a Dragon Tail, 2 very easy stuns to use. Honestly, it is like we've swapped teams a bit, because I don't feel like Team Spirit has those reliable stuns as much, just the tiny.
Yeah, just
not
the
as
tiny,
bad as last time,
especially when we get the Blink Dagger. I will say, though, I think the setup's a lot easier,
I agree.
right? Because Tiny, Avatos in compared to the Axe Blink, and then the follow-up stuns to be had out from Team Spirit, I do like that a little bit more than what Winstrike were proposing previously.
Bottom lane, there is a bit of aggression on Yamich. They're going to try to burn him down, but he's not going to die. We didn't mention as well, but Yamich did love this Lion. He's also a Willow spammer himself, but the Lion was something that he started to excel with even before the Lion became super popular, right? When he was starting to gain a bit of popularity as it countered to the puck. I feel like he practiced the hero a ridiculous amount. He's quite comfortable on the hero, and his Hex is usually on point.
Yep. Yeah, he's played 8 matches, sorry, on the on the position 4 Lion. 37% win rate.
Okay, that doesn't prove my point too.
I would. No, it doesn't. I apologize for that, but I agree. I don't think it's necessarily because, you know, he's been missing the hexes or whatever, right? There are more to the stats than just win rates that aren't just apparent through the win rates, right?
You.
But I do completely agree with you. I think an early blink dagger this game, just to be able to stand a bit further away and blink onto this tiny when he blinks onto your course, is going to really throw a wrench in the works here for Team Spirit.
Yep, I agree. Okay, unless he dies here though. That would really awful. He's an Earth Spike though. He's trying to set up for the double Earth Spike. Dragon Tail's gonna help him out. Yami's still burning. There's the Earth Spike we were talking about. Miposhka considering going for him, but they realize there's Cheshire Cat along the way. Okay, that's what you always wait for, right? When they go on you on this line, just Earth Spike 2 heroes. Never waste it on a single one just because you're desperate. Be patient. Use your DK to your advantage.
Yeah. Double stun them, King. You know, don't just waste your stun on a single person. So I got this lane ward as well, which is going to make life a bit easier, as top lane Duraccio is holding his own here, 14-0 compared to the 15-4. Of course, Collapse very keen to go, of course, right into the Shockwave and Skewer build. He's an expert at this, so we'll have to make sure if we see a hero sliding across the map that we're very quick to catch up on him, because he's fast with these moves, man.
Yeah, that's true. If you are Winstrike, when the Magnus starts to rotate together with a tiny...
Bottom.
Oh, yeah, they're going to get a kill.
Damage. This time he uses the Hex. Yeah, it looks like they're going to be able to burn him down, especially if the Fire Spirits connect and an extra dagger. First blood for Miposhka. Just one way to get some farm on your Phoenix. Just give him first blood.
That Fairy Fire felt a bit bad, because he got hit by the Spirit.
Top lane.
Oh, Duraccio, is he going to survive? He hits another Bramble. Duraccio, there's the Cold Embrace to save him. They have no Skewer. Splinter Blast almost kills Miroslav. That's Collapse. Keeps hitting him. Trying to break the ice, but Duraccio, he's having none of that. He doesn't want to meet him.
Oh, nice play there, forcing out the Arctic Burn. That's pretty big, actually, especially because they might kill him. Oh, the neutrals! The neutrals got him. So not only, of course, wasting a bit of time from the Wyvern, you're also going to get the death, making this lane a lot easier for Collapse. Even if you didn't get the kill there, you're super happy with that, because Arctic Burn is the bane of this Magnus' existence, especially when he does go for the Shockwave and Skewer builds. He needs that move speed.
Yeah, we've seen the strength of the, or the necessity of the Winter Wyvern last matchup as well, right? Where even with a good lane matchup, you not having a support just means so much. And Winter Wyvern is not a support that's so dominant that you can leave the lane for a bit and still be impactful, like say an Enchantress and an ET. You need to be there always with your carry, hit those Splinter Blasts properly, hit those Cold Embraces, and control the pulls as much as you can. He's making a fair amount of stacks. I'm assuming these are just for pulling, but... Because I can't see anyone really taking advantage of these. Spectre is not the best stack taker. Unless Duraccio is thinking of going for Blade Mail.
Well, and I can tell you, Avo, that he is, and he's going to be going for this very classic Spectre build.
Okay.
Bottom real quick, Cheshire Cat is getting body blocked by Miposhka as Yatora looking to close the gap. Only the one stun this time here reserved, actually, for the Phoenix. They're going to turn onto Miposhka, hoping for the kill. Dragon Tail stun in 2. There's no Icarus dive at the ready as the right clicks from the Lion. Will pick up the kill there onto the Phoenix, asking for a high 5 here as he's going to turn and instead stun up the PA. Cheshire Cat now with 2 points in the Dragon's Blood, and without this point in the crit, it's going to be a bit difficult for PA to get through all that armor.
Now finally actually healing up a bit, even as the magic wand, just in case. It's not a lane where Yatora is going to be able to kill Cheshire Cat, but it's also not a lane where Yatora will be stopped from farming, right? I think you're quite happy with at least just getting a consistent early game on PA, especially because you can recover later with Magnus. If you miss a couple of last hits, you're most likely not going to die to Winstrike's combo until maybe they hit that 6 on Lion.
Hey, wait a second, Avo. I think I recognize this tiny mid lane build for Toronto Tokyo.
Was he going Midas?
Going for Midas first here, and he did take Grow immediately at level 6.
Okay, alright. This is the Thompson build that we saw earlier as well. Or at least...
It is.
This time it is a nod to Thompson, huh?
It is actually a nod to Thompson, absolutely. And what we'll see here, how he's going to pay tribute. Again, two mid laners that we've compared previously in the draft, and I think you could see why. Because as far as I know, Midas first is not usually standard for the mid lane tinies. In fact, neither is Grow immediately. Normally, I feel like we see like 3/3s, whatever, and then you go and try and pick up kills with just your insane amount of magic burst.
Yeah. I agree. I like this this pickup because I think in this game you acknowledge that you can be into the You can go into the mid game pretty reliably. And there's something that I didn't really mention in the draft, but I should have in favor of the PA, which is that once you hit like 20-25 minute mark, which is probably what you're going to be fighting anyway as Winstrike, you do have the Phantom Eyes to deal with the Spectre. That's a huge counter on the Spectre when it comes to bursting her down.
True, yeah. That's actually a huge one. RP,
well,
top lane. There's going to be the skewer and a Rancho. Actually, or sorry, make that collapse, actually choosing to skewer him forwardly, aggressively underneath the tier 1 tower just to latch onto more of these brambles. Nice play.
Worked out. You're canceling the Spectre's timing, you're getting good timing on Tiny, and you're acknowledging where the tempo of this game is, which I thought was the logic of last, when I saw Topson with the Midas as well. Like, you don't need to fight as early, you don't need to be a space creator as much, because you know you're just going to have to withstand the power of the enemy team, and you can do that without Blink Dagger, so you can afford to go for Midas to become a secondary core into the late game.
I want to go back to that Fan of Knives because I think it deserves a little bit more than just the one sentence before we had that team fight. Because you're absolutely right. I mean, look at all the heroes it's so great against. Not only is it going to be a break for a DK and the Spectre, hold that thought, I'm immediately interrupted as there's going to be the Hex onto Miposhka. Breathe Fire is going to put him down. Yotaro has the crits and actually has reinforcements coming in the form of Toronto Tokyo. He's got that toss. He was not going to be able to get the toss back, though, and instead it's going to be the rotations from Pantomime slowing him to a crawl. Another Dragon Tail here is going to stun him up for a second. Toronto Tokyo looking to go back in now. He's got another toss in a second thanks to the Arcane Rune. Tossing the creep on over, trying to secure the kill, but it's only toss level 1. Make that level 2, apologies, so it's not enough damage here for the DK.
Yeah, I like that by Team Spirit. Interesting attempt against Cheshire Cat, but in the early game, how much can you do to really kill the DK? At best, you're defending your tower, which is good, and you stop the Dragon form, which I think is your goal anyway. Oh, Cheshire Cat played a bit too aggressively here. There's the Sunray, slowly bring him down. Another toss from the creep, has the infused raindrops, not going to save against the Sunray, and he's going to die to Miposhka. This guy should have backed out. He thought of playing a bit too aggressively with that Dragon form. He didn't want to waste it, but they ended up baiting that out.
Yeah, we have to be careful for Spirit, though. We have Haunt at the ready, and Collapse, of course, without his ulti, even if he rotates down here, is not going to be that scary. So that's why we see Team Spirit take a little bit more of a reserved approach here now that, you know, this bottom skirmish is kind of broken down. Okay, real quick, Fan of Knives. I'm a fan of that Ags this game. That's the Ag Shard this game. Because not only is it going to be a break versus a bunch of heroes that you do want to be breaking, but it's percentage-based damage. And that is going to be absolutely huge here. Winstrike are so tanky. They've got tons of healing. You've got Sunray to deal with it now, percentage-based damage. You've got Burst Magic. You've got a Bedlam for even more Burst Magic. And, of course, Fan of Knives for some pure, I believe. It's just removed. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that's to me, the logic behind Team Spirit. It's something I don't often consider because, you know, Shard's newer to the game, and it does happen that you just slip your mind, but I think the Fan of Knives is probably a large part of the reasoning why you destroy the DK and you destroy the Spectre with this hero. I don't think you're very much countered. Let me ask you this then, Avo. Do you think that they are going to kind of plan their whole game around it, and this is why we see the Midas? You think they're going to look to secure first Roche, or, you know, ideally at least fight for it, but they want second Roche real bad. I think that's what this Midas is for. That's going to be our go time because we're going to give this Ag Shard to the PA. She can build other things, and then it's just pedal to the metal, try and run Winstrike over around the 25-ish minute mark because we can't really do Roche too early for either sides, I would say. I wouldn't say put your whole game around it. I think that's a bit excessive. But you are putting your whole game around the Winstrike tempo to a degree. Wait, Miposhka in the bottom lane. He's trying to defend this tower. I mean, they're doing a decent job. DK, that's a second Dragon form he's used already. Tower still standing, not too bad. Hex does catch up Miposhka, and I feel like he's going to die now. Not much he can do. So you know the tempo Winstrike is playing. You know they can't up this as much as they want, because you're a bit limited by your cores, right? DK will push towers, Doom can get ganks, but it's not going to be an immediate ganking squad. And Spectre comes online when Spectre comes online. Even if you go for the Echo Saber, which speeds her up a bit, there's a limitation. So I think you're just gonna... You can afford to wait. More than, oh, my whole game plan is to wait. It's, I can afford to wait, so why not? Let's try to be more effective with our form. That's how I'm seeing it. Okay. Okay, I could see that as well. Speaking of being effective with your farm, Rebel, whether or not he's always wanted to go for the Midas or he's chosen to after he's seen the Gloves of Haste on the Tiny, is going to go into the Midas as well. So he's got double Midas here, and is therefore, you know, able to just absolutely kind of crush Toronto Tokyo in this farm so far. So he'll be nice and farmed when they do eventually start fighting, whenever that shall be.
Yeah, this is the only game where I would say that the Doom, like, this is the build that all mid Dooms and all Dooms actually do these days, which is Midas into BKB. This Doom apparently goes for a Blink Dagger as well, maybe in between. No, he's rushing the BKB first, then the Blink Dagger. Yeah, the build that everyone's following. But this is one of the few games that argue that the Ags immediately after is super important because of how much that cancels PA. Not just because Blur, but also taking away her crit. You know, you take away her Phantom Strike, which is her mobility. It was the only reason why I thought PA could not be the best pick, because you can really counter that. But we'll see what Winstrike decides to go for. I've never seen a Doom actually deviate into Ags this early, so.
So what's interesting is Collapse has gone then for the mech early on. I thought maybe it was going to be straight Blink, just looking for a couple of pickoffs, but the mech is going to be some nice stats and bolster any early team fights that they do decide to take, especially because I would say overall your team fight is a bit stronger, given you've got Supernova, which they don't have anymore, as Yamich and Cheshire Cat are able to close the gap. That's Blink Dagger reveal then for the DK down bottom. Took up another kill here onto the Phoenix. Mid lane, though, they're looking to press the advantage.
Erica comes in, they're gonna go for the Tiny. There's the Doom used, Infernal Blade, even the Haunt committing hard to this kill. Terrorize shouldn't save the Tiny, he is going to fall to Cheshire Cat actually. It was the poison that got him. And that might set up for a potential tower here. You don't have too much push, only really the DK. Team Spirit could still fight this. You've used your Doom, you used your Haunt. In goes Cheshire Cat, hoping for the kill against the Magnus. The Supernova in the middle of this fight, Winter's Curse. Just trying to break the egg. Can they do it? No, not in time. And that sets up for a massive stun into the RP with the Sunray. Collapse will die for this, but in exchange will take down Cheshire Cat and Duracho. So quite the successful team fight for Team Spirit. Only Brable out of the core is able to get out of there alive.
And that's why you don't look directly at the sun when you're kids. It just absolutely ruins your eyes. 4-man Sunray at level 3 into the RP is a thing of beauty out from Team Spirit. Not respecting the buffs that Phoenix had all the way back at the beginning of, what, 7.28, 7.29. The level 1 eggs are a little bit harder to kill now. It's that one extra attack. Very, very nicely done out from Team Spirit. You know, just crushing Winstrike. That was a great fight for them up until they decided to actually try and get that Phoenix killed. And they had the counter initiation as well. They had the curse onto everyone that could have held them down. Unfortunately, they only have themselves to blame.
You just don't have that. Like, you don't have the greatest egg hitters, though. Like, that's the reality. So even with the curse, you need to be able to destroy the Supernova quickly with a couple of melee heroes and a Lion and a Winter Wyvern, you know. I understand you're kind of limited. Maybe the Winter's Curse should have been, as you said, a retreat. But I can see the greed. I can see the argument for it. They go for the Magnus immediately. They can burst him down. Nice little Inferno Blade. That's going to kill Collapse, yes. But Doom could be in trouble. Toss. That's going to kill him off. Toronto Tokyo has way too much burst magical damage. And they're thinking Cheshire Cat next. They're doing as much as they can against Cheshire Cat as the Winter's Curse comes out. Dragon saving Dragon. And that might even finish up Toronto Tokyo. But instead, Yatoro sees the opportunity to go for Baton immediately as the Winter's Curse ends, getting an extra kill there. Taking 2 kills for the price of none there. Well played, Team Spirit.
Dude,
sorry, for the price of Magnus,
you know,
the price of Magnus, my bad.
When you're right, Avo, right? We got Collapse on this big team fight ultimate hero. We got Toronto Tokyo on this hero who's just limited basically by a Blink Dagger cooldown, right? 15 seconds or thereabouts. Winstrike go, oh, we can absolutely fight them right now. They don't have RP, they don't have Supernova, and Team Spirit are just so happy to fight into this, specifically Toronto Tokyo, just jumping in and out of those fights, staying alive throughout the Winter's Curse as well, proving to be a bit too tanky. Love to see it here, and they're going to get the tower, although maybe they've stuck around too long. There is a Doom onto the PA. Can they get the damage for her? They're trying to heal her up with the Sunray, the toss back to get her out of trouble, and there's the mech heal to keep her alive. Rebel popping the BKB, trying to fight through this one. Perfectly timed Terrorize out from Miroslav, though, is going to force them back, and they don't get a single thing here. Out from the Doom, trying to defend the Tier 1 tower. Great back by Team Spirit. As, they are now going to go ahead and actually possibly even fight a little bit more, just using RP. I think we can go again.
I feel like that mech has already paid for himself these past few team fights. Really good pickup there by Collapse. I mean, the Sunray is already useful, but getting the extra burst healing on the mech is something you don't really have, and that surprised them a couple of times. Great way to deal with the Doom. One of the issues that Winstrike has is, well, first of all, early damage, right, until Spectre gets online. And second of all, if you use the Doom, you need someone to chase in after. So until the Lion gets Blink Dagger, it's really just the DK. That might put him in a precarious position. You have no simple slows you can just throw out, like Splinter Blast, Spectral Dagger, sort of. You know, but nothing too major to be able to stop a TA from just running away, honestly. And so that healing is a great way to deal with it. Eventually, Force Staffs would also be an option for Team Spirit.
I'd say, honestly, the slows are pretty good. What was missing in that fight, though, was a haunt. Dyrachyo just not feeling confident enough to go in on that fight. I thought maybe could have been the difference maker. Sure, only has Blade Mail and a Yasha, but that PA was real low. But probably, I think, a wiser choice, because we did still have plenty of ultimates to use, that RP, Bedlam, and Supernova all ready to go, which are just Spectre Shredders at this stage of the game. So, difficult situation that Winstrike find themselves in, as now they finally go back to the Tier 1 tower. The thing that kicked this thing all off a couple of minutes ago.
Okay.
Miposhka, rather, again in position. There's going to be the tiny Ava toss blink in. Another vessel here is going to be onto Cheshire Cat as Dyrachyo actually jumping on in with the Blade Mail active, hit by the Cursed Crown. He'll be slowed by a bit. Who's that vessel on? It is going to be onto Mira. Once again, great itemization here.
So we're seeing that we were talking about earlier, right? Not the fastest push by Winstrike, but very consistent push once the DK is up, once the Dragon Form rather is up. So good by Winstrike, taking towers, kind of sneakily dominating over their side of the map. They really have taken over now the Radiant jungle. Very important for them as Team Spirit swaps jungles. The difference being that if you look at Team Spirit's wards in the map, they're using resources to fight the Radiant jungle to try and take some kills off Winstrike, whereas Winstrike has completely, you can argue defensive to a degree vision, right? Just securing that farm, securing those areas, making sure you really have that jungle. So Team Spirit gets pretty much a free dire jungle without having to waste any wards there. Could be an advantage later on in the game, we'll see, as they haven't really lost any map to farm.
They could Rosh. We have a DD rune here with an Orb of Corrosion on the PA, and we're going to go for it. And they're going to rally the troops and look for an early Rosh. This, I mean, Winstrike could be completely, you know, they'll miss the bus on this, because they're not going to be expecting that DD rune. Very quickly, I just wanted to point out here what Collapse is going for. He's going straight into these Guardian Greaves, and I think it's going to be mostly for Arctic Burn, because you can only apply one Arctic Burn debuff per cast without the Aghanim Scepter. And being able to move freely here at your full move speed, trying to land new skewers, trying to get in position, especially without a Blink Dagger for these RPs, is going to be of the utmost importance here for Collapse. As down goes Roshan, number 1. Yatoro making very keen use of that DD rune. Now has Aegis number 1 in his inventory.
Okay, they might find Dyrachyo here. They have a Terrorize. They have enough damage. The question, actually, it's Blade Mill before. I just killed the PA. No, there's the Sunray to finish up Dyrachyo. The ultimate counter to anything that's good to be cold embraced is the Sunray.
Oh, nice, and Spike Aegis hit it with a little bit of the sun, and down it goes. Rebel now in trouble. Is trying to Tokyo. We'll blink onto him. Yatoro as well will follow suit as here comes the BKB. We have a curse. We're going to use it onto the PA, but Toronto Tokyo missing most of these attacks is not going to do a whole lot here to his ally, despite having a respectable attack speed with the Hand of Midas. Now going back into the Echo Saver stun. Onto Mira, though, as they are battling over the wards. Mira, though, will win out eventually, dewarding the Observer. As the Avalanche is not going to find... Oh, we canceled the TP. Not like Pantomime was going to make it out anyway, but it was going to be tossed then into just plenty of damage, I think, to cancel that one. Yep,
that was just... It was a given. I think the kill on Spectre is still the more important one here. As Team Spirit is managing to find these pickoffs, we haven't seen really too much usage out of that Doom just yet. Because these ganks are difficult when Team Spirit, as per usual, bunches up. They force the 5-on-5s, right? Doom is much better, at least in the early game, suited for pickoffs. Yes, they give you an advantage in these team fights, but you just don't have as great AoE catch as Team Spirit does. And then you question, like, what do I use my Doom on? Do I cancel the Tiny? Okay, that stops some of the damage, but then PA is still alive. Do I stop the Magnus? That's some of the team fight, but Phoenix and Tiny is still alive. Team Spirit loves doing this. Always having, like, a secondary option for whatever role their hero fulfills.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Yep, they've got that backup counter, or like a backup issue for them, right? There's always like a butt, so to speak.
Yep, there's always a butt. Yeah, I guess we'll see if Winstrike can take advantage of this. The smokes they can force out here, pretty strong against Spirit. They should be able to finish off the... They can finish off the support relatively easily with the amount of catch they have this time, but not if they're the ones being initiated upon. Especially now with the Winter Wyvern. Some help from Yamich, but Toronto Tokyo is coming in. There's a toss available. Toss him back. Oh no, just toss. The PA on top of Cheshire Cat, and that's going to guarantee the kill on the Terrorize. Yamich does manage the TP, finding a way between the trees.
We've doomed Collapse in the meantime, though, and he is going to fall, of course, unable to escape, unable to activate those Guardian Greaves. It's going to make this pretty worthwhile for Winstrike, especially because make that Lion escapes.
So this is actually something we saw a lot, or I saw a lot at least in the Chinese DPC, which is sometimes teams will force a fight completely away from where the 5-on-5 is happening, even if they sacrifice heroes for it, just so they can break apart the enemy team. Because they know the enemy team doesn't want to go and TP all 5 heroes. That's a huge waste of resources. You TP 3, 4, then you know the rest of them are alone, and you get a pick-off with your superior pick-off potential. It's a good way to deal with these teams that refuse to leave each other, honestly. And they're just holding hands the whole time. And with heroes like Spectre, heroes like DK, I feel like it's a pretty good lineup to do this on. So, good play by Winstrike. The question is, how much more can they afford to do this? We'll see.
That's a good point. We'll see, actually, as Winstrike are going to smoke up. We still have this Aegis, and now this Aghanim Shard that Yotaro has actually purchased. So Aegis up for another 90 seconds. There's the jump onto at least the Phoenix. Okay, the break, and look at the damage already onto the DK. Out comes the Supernova. This time it's going to be properly focused and taken down immediately into the fight. Yamich, though, cut down by Yotaro, as Duracho, having haunted in, still looking for these backliner supports. Pantomime able to buy himself a bit of extra time here in the Cold Embrace, but Yotaro will kill him nonetheless, as out comes at least the Winter's Curse. Not going to do much there, only catching the illusions of collapse, and that last kill for Yotaro underneath the tier 1 tower is very easy for him. 4 dead yet again here for the side of Winstrike, fighting into an Aegis with about a minute left into it. Bold call from them.
Yeah, especially with a Doom unavailable. I think that was the biggest issue to me. If you had the Doom available, there's a justification that you feel that you can at least take everyone down and just ignore the PA like you somewhat did there. But with the Doom unavailable, there was just no need. You didn't have to force that fight whatsoever. I agree. The timing was just not great for Winstrike. And now they've just lost a huge advantage they managed to slowly creep up with. Yotaro is completely online at this point, still with the Empower, of course. He's beating the Doom despite having Devour and Midas. Tiny has never left his top net worth chart thanks to his Midas. Now it's looking scary for Winstrike.
Tier 2 tower for free means that actually all of the outer towers here for Winstrike have already been removed. And on top of that, we've got some really nice aggressive wards, watching for any possible rotations into the lane, into mid, and then of course the Roshan ward, which is about to expire. So we'll get another one here placed in just a second as our Aegis is reclaimed. Toronto Tokyo even has actually bought his own shard here, so I suppose we might just end up giving it either to the Willow or to our Phoenix here for second Roshan. That is if Team Spirit are able to secure the Roche. Because Winstrike already on the prowl. They've smoked up, this time with Doom at the ready, just waiting on the cooldown for Haunt. As unfortunately this smoke for them will be fruitless, and they'll just be left to farm in their own jungle.
Yeah, I think it's... So there's 2 points to be made to the smoke, right? On one hand, it's really bad that you're wasting a smoke when you really desperately need those pickoffs. But on the other hand, maybe it's best to just continually use them to at least know that you're putting pressure on the map. Because the timing was not too awful for the smoke. It's just that that smoke was limited in its scope. It could only catch someone alone and kill them, and that was it. That was your only option. So we'll see how the smoke for Team Spirit works out instead. Good scan, though.
To be fair, I don't think Winstrike are really... They're not very keen to do much more than that, are they, at this stage? I think they now recognize, hey, we need to start a fight off with a 5v4, or at least guarantee a Doom onto a good target, and then go from there. Should be easier to do. Rebel, of course, now with the BKBs, found himself a War Stomp creep as Toronto Tokyo looking to try and burst through Spectre, terrorized with the Cold Embrace, still keeping her healed up. The Fear, oh, but the jump in, the break, it's too much damage. Winter's Curse doesn't catch a single thing, but at least it'll catch Yotaro a Doom, as caught now by the RP is just going to be Cheshire Cat, as there's the Haunts now. They're trying to at least finally finish off Yotaro. Duracho still continuing to chase. The blink forward is going to finally get this kill for Cheshire Cat, and they've even caught Toronto Tokyo here with between Rebel and Yotaro, able to find that kill, or sorry, Yamich make that 2 kills then for the Lion. So we did end up buying back here on the Phoenix just to get back into that fight.
Yeah, we mentioned how the or I mentioned rather, how the Winstrike lineup is really good at breaking these lines. So the toss is just not sufficient. That's why I suggested the 4-step earlier, because you need that extra bit of save. Maybe Glimmer is also a consideration, though I think at this point it's a bit too late. Something to make sure that when the PA gets doomed, which is going to be always Winstrike's objective, you have a way of making sure she doesn't die. So Team Spirit, I think, just experienced that, where if Winstrike has other ultimates, no matter how well positioned you are, they're going to break you. The Phantom Knives is really solid. Of course, you did force a couple buybacks, but you lost your carry at the end. There's the counter initiation from Pantomime. Okay, that's done from the Curse Scramble. Stop the Doom completely. They're looking to go fishing. Collapse using the Skewer instead to just gets close to Rabel. And the Spirit Vessel dealing a bit of damage. No Shockwave just yet. And instead, it's just going to be the Garden Greaves to get away from this.
Yamich is going to be heading to that Aeon disc for himself. Cheshire Cat really desperately trying to get up this Halberd because this PA is a bit of a monster if she's not doomed. Even going into the Basher here for our Phantom Assassin, just looking to be able to, you know, steel herself up and really go toe-to-toe with just about anyone, that even including, of course, the Spectre, should it come down to that. And she's got the tools to do it, given how strong this Fan of Knives is.
Yeah, and only gets stronger as the game progresses. I mean, Spectre will get, I guess, more farm, but you're never going to be able to match the Empower farming speed of a PA. And the more your map is minimized, the harder it is for Winstrike to be able to recover on the Spectre entirely. It's tough. I don't know. Team Spirit gonna be able to go for Roshan now. Winstrike just needs to be able to use this pick-off potential, get rid of Yatoro in the fights. I don't think the matchup between Spectre and Yatoro is ever gonna favor the Spectre. Well,
yeah, especially least of all because of this shard.
Until Hyper Lake.
Well, they won't be able to contest this Roshan. I think it'll be taken a bit too fast. Winstrike, they've got wards for it, but unwilling to fight into the team fight here of Team Spirit. Second shard looks like it's going to be given to Miposhka. Okay, it was just Collapse walking into the pit playing Courier. So now we've got this extra Sunray in Supernova. I shouldn't say extra Sunray. You can Sunray in Supernova, and it slows for 12%. So just more percentage-based damage, something to defend the egg actively, and of course something to have through these tanky cores that Winstrike are fielding is going to be much appreciated here when it comes down to the team fights.
Winstrike needs to take another fight like that again, but they need to avoid the Aegis because, of course, their target still being Yatoro. So maybe now you just go to full creep cutting mode. Ignore fights as much as you can. Definitely not go into the high ground like this or lose Cheshire Cat as easily. Not the easiest target to kill off though. In fact, Collapse. He went in alone and got punished for it. The Haunt, they might still be able to continue a fight. They're going for the Phoenix next. Fan of Knives, annoying the Spectre a bit, but she didn't get doomed. That's only her first life. Miposhka, however, loses only life. Sergeant Tokyo is looking for the rest of the supports. Yamich, all saved there by the Cold Embrace, but for how long? As Yatoro is just waiting for the Stifling Dagger. There goes Mirror Slot to save what Tiny could not do. And they've managed to finish off the Lion. Team Spirit, that was not their best initiation, but they still made it work.
They did. So it's going to be a 2 for 2. Unfortunately, they can't look to fight any longer because the Phoenix did buy back earlier after Winstrike were able to find a couple successful pickoffs in the mid lane. And so he's going to be dead for quite a long time. Collapse dying early on, though, makes these fights really, really awkward for you to have. Because then we lose one of the butts, right? Before the butt was, oh, we can all hit Supernova, but we have to be careful for this RP counter initiation. As soon as that's no longer on the field, the team fights become way easier for Winstrike, and they're able to execute on top of what is a very high damage draft if they're allowed to actually close the gap.
Yep.
Aeon Disc, actually, for Rabel, by the way, on our Doom, is something I don't know if I've seen before, to be honest.
It's just an extension, I think a pretty natural one of the I need to get my Doom off build, right? Which has been the build that Dooms have been playing for eons. You know, you use the... You pick up whatever you need so you can get the Doom off on the right target, which in this case, of course, being the PA. And as long as you accomplish that, you're pretty happy. Since you don't deal an insane amount of damage anyway, I think Aeon Disc doesn't really stop, like the nerfs or whatever happens when you get hit by the Aeon Disc is fine, because you can still get the stomps off. Infernal Blade's still annoying, you have a lot of DPS, so it's the 2 seconds is like whatever. It's a pick up this game. I think you're not going to do enough given a certain point though. And the H is going to be really annoying.
I think that certain point will come when this Lincoln Sphere is completed as well for Collapse, because he's very quickly making ground towards that. Yatoro trying to finish off. Oh, Yatoro, by the way, has got his own Lincoln Sphere, so we might have double Lincolns at some stage. And an Aeon Disc here for the Phoenix to make sure he doesn't get picked off the way he was earlier. Nice stuns onto Yatoro, but it's not going to save your top lane of barracks. They will be deleted. And Team Spirit will back up to very quickly lick their minor wounds here, as Yatoro's going to be healed to full. Ribble going in the mid lane. Okay, good blink out, because Yatoro was ready to jump on in.
Yatoro. As long as he has the Aegis, he knows he's kind of free here. That's why Winstrike decided not to engage. I think it's the right choice to just let the racks go at this point. You have to play super patient. It sucks though, because now you're the pressure of like, you're one step in the lower brackets essentially. So you don't have the option of last game where you're like, oh, we go for the third game, no big deal, or the second game, no big deal. This time, that makes it much harder to execute as precisely as you need to, given the position you're in. Scotty completed on Spectre. That's gonna help you out. I mean, it's good for the carry fighting for the most part. It's good to deal with a tiny to a degree. Gives you a bit more stats for survivability. Not a big point of inflection, I'd say, this game, though. Durach still needs more farm to be able to fight this. In fact, talk about farm. Oh, Yatoro looking to try to maintain that smoke. It's completely cancelled. There's a Link-ins. Stopping the Earth Spike, but they killed off Pantomime. That's your counter initiation gone. He has to buy back immediately. Winstrike appropriately acknowledge how important the Winter Wyvern is for these fights.
Yeah, it's crucial. I mean, it is always nice to have a Wyvern versus Agi carries, because she'll just shred the rest of her team. Even if you don't crit on them, it's still plenty of damage now with all the stats that she's rocking. But Team Spirit, they're going to look actually to snipe a kill down bottom onto the Spectre, who is trying to sneak away. Aegis is reclaimed. We've just used Spectral Dagger, but we've got another one here quite shortly, as that scan is not going to find anyone. There's the jump from Yatoro. We still have Phantom Knives to get through her with Blade Mail active, Manta style, as they try to escape. They're using everything here, but Duracho, he's been caught out and killed. No chance for him to escape, even using that Supernova just to make sure they could find that kill. And now Toronto Tokyo, he's found the people who are looking to retreat, as he will be stunned up in return, but the rest of his team quickly making haste towards his position. Pantomime trying to get off a good Winter's Curse here. Unfortunately, he's been sniffed out, as there goes the Aeon Disc, and there goes Cheshire Cat, immediately bursted through. RP now, just to lock down the Doom, as they've dispatched up the Winter Wyvern on the high ground. Rabel, 1 HP, gets off a War Stomp, but he's not going any further. He will fall. 4 dead, 3 without dieback here, as Team Spirit look to push up back towards high ground and already are dropping the voice lines.
Yeah, now it's looking difficult. You lost a Spectre for 70 seconds. I mean, Team Spirit might be able to finish this game. There's a GG. Winstrike, no. Yep. There's no buyback on Spectre, so it's just so difficult to bring this back. And it's going to be a 2-0 in favor of Spirit. What a domination. Not going to lie. I don't know. Both games, Winstrike didn't... I mean, first game is so hard to judge. Well, the second game, it certainly felt like Winstrike couldn't execute as well. They had a couple of really good team fights, which showed what their draft could do. I feel like this draft was much more capable than the last one, that's for sure. But you only had maybe 1 or 2 instances of the draft working properly. You lost control of the map pretty early. Spectre couldn't farm as well, which fell behind the PA. And there was a point where we went back to last game where for this 5-on-5 to work, you need to pull off a miracle. And it was just really difficult to do.
Absolutely. Unfortunately for Winstrike, they're going to be out-farmed, outplayed, and outbeaten here. Team Spirit, for the first time these two teams have met in 7.29, are going to be able to take a 2-0 win. We're going to be back after a short break to break down that series a little bit more.